Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC and MMA. Head to Bet Online today to get in on all the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, the game starts here.
Like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right. Shout out to the mighty Who That Nation. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to y'all. Appreciate y'all being in here for the Friday stream, man. Much love to the fam as we are doing the Saints versus the Raiders preview. That's right, fam. We're going to be doing the preview. The Saints have 2 remaining games. That's right. 2 games left for the team before they cruise, or better yet, maybe fumble, bumble, jumble into the offseason, a much needed and very imperative and interesting offseason the Saints are going to be dealing with. But first, before they get there, they have to deal with the likes of the Raiders. Let's get right into it. Shout out to all you guys. Please do me a service by hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button. If by all means, feel free to share the show in your social media feed. We in this thing. So anyway, let's get into the injury report. Friday's injury report, fam. 10 Saints players on this injury report, and Derek Carr was pushing to try to get back out there. It just didn't work out. He is out for this game. Alvin Kamara is also listed as out. Eric McCoy is out. Lucas Patrick is out. Rizzy did say on the previous stream yesterday that both McCoy and Patrick are more than likely done for the year. Alvin Kamara and Carr Alvin Kamara most certainly will be back for the final game of the year against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He wants to get that 1,000 yards. Derek Carr wanted to make it back for the Raiders game, can't play. So that might shut him down for the year. If he, that might pretty much be done. I don't think it's a wise decision for them to try to play him during this time when these games are literally meaningless for the Saints, right? All right, but anyway, Juwan Johnson fully practiced from the foot issue. Nathan Shepard is back. He's listed as a game-time decision. Peyton Turner fully practiced. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is also listed as questionable. He was limited with that chest issue. Game-time decision for him. And Chris Olave practiced full-time, also game decisions. Will the Saints give Chris Olave an opportunity to kind of make it back for these last 2 games? We'll see. Rico Payton was also DNP'd with an illness. He's also listed as questionable. Then heading down to the Raiders, you take a look at their squad. Muaga, the linebacker, fully practiced. Jordan Meredith, the guard, is out. Guard Jackson Powers Jordan is fully practiced, quadricep ankle issue. Fully practiced. Running back Dylan Loeb illness. He was limited in practice today, fully practiced. K'Lavon Chasen, we had a foot issue. He's good to go. Cornerback Nate Hobbs was limited with an illness. So the Raiders have some issues right there. But anyway, they're looking to kind of trying to go into this game here. Now, they did beat the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. They beat the Jags. So they kind of riding a mini high or whatever you want to call it. But this is a team that's definitely barreling into the draft in terms of wins. They're not a very good football team. They're currently a team that is definitely going through some issues and problems and everything like that, as you could possibly imagine going on with them now Raiders. But anyway, big ups to you guys for being in the stream. They got a lot of issues and injuries on their squad. Anyway, let's get right into the individual statistics. These are some of the rankings for the matchup today. 5-10 Saints against the 3-12 Las Vegas Raiders. You can see the Saints scoring average NFL and their ranking 19.3 points a game scoring average. That's 30, ranked 33rd. 33rd. All right. So anyway, that's crazy. But the opponent, they are an average of 19 points a game. Obviously, that can't be the case, right? How could you be that? It is only 30. But anyway, let's keep it going, man. They just said the Saints is garbage. Is that what they try to say? But anyway, 33 there, set by 17.6, ranked 29th in scoring for the Raiders. You look at the 21.6 is 16th in the NFL, 26 flat for the Raiders at 27. So you can see that average is 17.6 points per game and allowing opponents to almost score almost 10 points more will be a recipe for a 3-12 season. Same with the Saints, 19 and giving up 21 puts them at 5-10. Total offense in NFL rank, you take a look at what the black and gold are doing. Total offensive rank, Saints averaging 325.4 yards a game. That's 18th versus the Raiders 300 flat, which is 28th. The rushing offense for the Saints 120.6, which is 13. The Raiders at 77.5, which is dead last in the NFL. And what they're doing, passing offense, NFL ranked 204.8 for 23. The Raiders are 22.7 or 222.7. That's 14th in the NFL. You look at the total defense, Saints allowing 378.4, which is 30th, versus the Raiders 328.1, which is 12th. The rushing defense, Saints will allow you to run 134 or 38 yards rather a game against the Saints, sprawled out over all of these games. That's what they have done collectively versus the Raiders 117.9, which is 13th. So you can see where the Raiders are actually decent on the defensive side of the ball. It's just the offense stinks. You know, that's really what it is. Looking at the pass defense for the Saints, they allow 240.5. That's 28th in the NFL versus 210 by the Raiders, which is top 10. So it's very respectable numbers if you kind of collectivize it all together for the Raiders. 12th overall defensive ranked against the rush. They're 13th against the pass. They're 9th. So they're not exactly, you know, some team you could step on and whatnot. This team is actually a decent defensive team if you look at it. But like I said, they got a lot of issues offensively, especially at the quarterback position, right? That they have not been able to do it. But they did get a win against the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. The Saints currently on a 2-game slide against the Commanders and also against the Green Bay Packers. And they're hoping to get right against the Raiders. So, but it won't be a walk in the park. Something has to happen here. A lot of stuff going on with the Saints too. So then we look at the penalties. Saints have 92 penalties versus 90 by the Raiders. 841 penalty yards for the Saints. Good grief. 759 by the Raiders. And you can see the opposition penalties there. But the possession, Saints average 28 minutes and 34 seconds a game in time of possession, offensively speaking, versus 30-32 by the Raiders. So the takeaway margin now, the Saints are -1, which is 16th. The Raiders are -17, which is 31st. So which pretty much is saying, and this is pretty solid, if you look at it, that the Raiders are a solid defensive team in stopping you, but they don't turn you over, right? And the Raiders offense do not capitalize. They played well enough to beat Jaguars, which is a struggling Jaguars team last week, but it's a win. They got a win to help them kind of jump ahead of this thing. So that's some of the statistics right there to try to just be aware of dealing with the black and gold. The last meeting, little backdrop on this, the Saints played the last time meeting. The Saints beat them 24-0. This was when they were in the dome back in 2022. The Saints fed Alvin Kamara against that Raider defense, and they rolled to a 24-0 victory in the dome. The win ended a 2-game losing streak for the Saints, who were 3-5 at the time, and kept them in the mix for the NFC South. The loss dropped the Raiders to 2-5. It was the Saints' first shutout since defeating Tampa 9-0 back in December 19th of 2021. The Saints held the Raiders to just 183 yards and didn't allow them to pass midfield until late in the fourth quarter. Kamara scored his first of 3 touchdowns of the season there against the team, and the Saints played their cleanest game of 2022. The 6-year veteran finished for 62 yards on 18 carries with 9 catches for 96 yards. According to NFL, Kamara is the first player in NFL history to record 10 games with at least 1 rushing and 1 receiving TD in his first 6 seasons. Just many accolades from the great Alvin Kamara, and he continues to do it. He wants to get that first 1,000-yard rushing campaign. That's something that has eluded him for a while. He was running really well this year. Ultimately, it just did not work. It just couldn't get it going on for him this year. So anyway, let's kind of move into what we're looking at in terms of the Raiders. We know that the Raiders quarterback Gardner Minshew was out. He had I think it was a collarbone issue that sidelined him for the season, and they went to their 4th round selection of a couple of years ago. Actually in 2023, they picked this guy up out of Purdue, and he had a pretty decent college career actually there for Purdue, but it's been kind of strugglenomics for him in the NFL, especially with the Raiders. 1,156 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a QBR of 39.2. Like I said, he's a quarterback that is a very interesting guy, and he struggled. He kind of has some ups and downs with Aiden O'Connell. A decent quarterback, heady, has a decent ball that he throws, can be accurate, but he's kind of topsy-turvy right now, especially with the line. The line is an issue. He was sacked 9 times since he's been playing the game, and he stepped in for 7 games of the year when Gardner Minshew got hurt. Desmond Ridder was also here as a quarterback there, but they decided to kind of move from Desmond Ridder and tried Aiden O'Connell at the quarterback position going into the future. Obviously, the Raiders are looking at drafting one of these quarterbacks, whether it's Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. These guys are going to be available when they pick, because the Raiders are going to be in at least, in the top 3, maybe 5, depending on how the season finishes out. Top running back for them is Alexander Madison, former Minnesota Viking running back, 12 games, 116 carries, 368, 4 touchdowns for him. Amir Abdullah, another speed option. They kind of mix these guys in with the Raiders, and the Raiders, like I said, they need help offensively. I do like Coach Pierce as the coach. Hopefully they don't fire the man, because, it was tough. He really didn't have much of a talented team. I think they're kind of looking at the future. You get a quarterback there, they can use a running back as well to kind of help out with them getting rid of Josh Jacobs. And it went to hell real quick for them. But anyway, Madison's a guy that we have to deal with Amir Abdullah, more of a speed option. But we're familiar with this guy. Remember, he had some time with the Minnesota Vikings. He's a guy that can hurt you if you let him. But like I said, the Raiders are very topsy-turvy, up and down, not very good offense, to be honest with you. Brock Bowers, this guy here this is their best weapon, period, right now, healthy. This guy was a top 13 pick in the NFL this year. He was a guy that came out of Georgia. He was he's a phenomenal tight end for him. He's going to be special for Shedeur or Cam Ward, more than likely, based on where they land. That Shedeur has a safety blanket, and Brock Bowers, the former Georgia Bulldog. This guy has 101 catches. So if any bright spots the Raiders have, it's Brock Bowers. 101 catches, which is tied for second in the NFL as a rookie. Over 1,000 yards catching. He has 4 touchdowns, and he averages 10.6 yards every time he catches the ball. So every time he catches the ball, it's a first down. He's phenomenal. So any bright spots there for a quarterback with a security blanket is Brock Bowers. So it's also one of the things to talk about if you're the New Orleans Saints, about what you need to pay attention to, because this is still has been an issue with the Saints even in this year, where the Saints had issues with the tight end. Like we seen that happen in the last two previous games, especially in the matchup last week against the Packers, where Kraft was able to move around and make plays to get the ball upfield, even help set up touchdown, to set up scoring drives. So yes, Brock Bowers blocks as well as catches the ball really well, and he's their best option. So if the Saints, he's key number one. Of course, you got to hit the quarterback, knock him down. But Brock Bowers is a tough cover, and this is number one for the Saints defense. They have to watch out for this guy, right? He's the guy that you got to watch out for. And then they do have some of Jacoby Myers is another fantastic 6-year wide receiver that they have out of North Carolina State. 73 catches, 843, 2 touchdowns. He's 11.5 yards. So it's kind of some bright spot players for the Raiders they'll be problematic for the Saints. Trey Tucker's another wide receiver that has numbers at 42 catches with 2 touchdowns. He's a guy, the speed option right here, averaging almost 12 catches per 12 yards per catch for the team. So these guys are some of the offensive weapons that the Saints secondary will have to deal with. The Saints defense have to deal with. Brock Bowers slowing him down and watching out for that guy. That's the bottom line, right? So we'll see how it all works with them, man. But yeah, that Brock Bowers dude is pretty phenomenal, man. So we'll see how it all shakes for them as well. Also, Michael Mayer, that's another interesting tight end prospect. I remember them picking up. So anyway, that's a few of the people that you have to really pay attention to, family, for real. On the really real, you got to watch out for those these offensive pieces, especially Brock Bowers, and how Aiden O'Connell, he did enough against the Jaguars to kind of help facilitate a win right there. So we'll see how things are looking, for them, like his production there against them. 24 of 38 for 257 yards. He didn't throw a touchdown. He was sacked twice, but they were able to eke out a 19-14 win. Despite that, they had several losses in a row, and they got a good win against the Jags, and the Jags not all that, but they did get a win coming into the Saints building. They're looking at the Saints like, hey, man, we could take advantage of them. This team struggles with scoring. If we can hit them and get a few scores on them, we can scramble them, and maybe we can sneak out another win here. And also keep in mind that the Raiders are, like I said, lined up for a top 3, top 5 pick, depending on how the season. And this is a team that, like I said, they don't have many wins, right? And of course, on defense is really where we pay attention to is Robert Spillane. This is a guy right here that has 81 solo tackles, but he has well over 100, and I think it's 104. Yeah, there you go, 130 tackles that he has combined that Spillane is a part of. Now, this is a 6-year veteran. He's really taking advantage of what they got going on defense with Coach Pierce. And like I say, very active linebacker, moves around, make plays. Mooring's another guy. This is a safety that they have, a guy that's good in he's a 2nd-round pick from TCU. This was a guy that really good, a nice ball hawk type safety that can come up and hit. 60 solo tackles, 92 tackles completed by this guy. 92 tackles, 10 pass defense by Trayvon Moore. He has 2 picks on the year, and he moves around. So like I said, if you remember looking at some of the stuff when you look at the Raiders defense, they're a team, defensively speaking, that is in many categories, like we showed early in the show, that they have top 10 rankings on a lot of this stuff. And, because you look at Coach Pierce, that's his fatigue. That's his forte. He's a linebacker, a defensive guy, and he knows how to coach defenses. His defense is doing its thing. It's just the offense is not. There's a lot of stuff going on that side of the ball. And unfortunately, and like we knew when they came into the season, when they didn't actually get a quarterback in the draft or whatever, we knew what they were doing. They were looking ahead to see if they can land somebody. Now you looking at putting a Shadur Sanders or a Cam Ward with what they have, and Brock Bowers, and they add another wide receiver weapon here, maybe a running back in free agency or something like that. The Raiders can jump from worst to not first, but be competitive on that in the AFC, right? We'll see, but Pierce is a good guy to have there. He'll keep you going. Isaiah Payamoa is another one of their players. He's a safety, 76 tackles for him that go along with his play, but this another tackling. These are tackling fools. I mean, to be honest with you, really rough, tough defense. 7.5 sacks, for Max Crosby, who's hurt. Crosby's out. The second guy next is big old Adam Butler, the defensive tackle out of Vanderbilt. This is the next man up on that Raiders defensive line, 6'5", 300 pounds. And like I said, this is not, 57 tackles altogether and 3.5 sacks for a DT. It's not going to be easy running the ball against this team. And like I would caution the family members to think that they might get a win against the Raiders, man. It's going to be looking kind of interesting to see exactly how they're going to do that, because it's kind of interesting because the Raiders, from an offensive standpoint, they puzzle the Saints defense because Brock Bowers is there. And depending on how Aiden O'Connell plays, that's the biggest thing, because is no telling how he plays. He's inconsistent because he's a young quarterback. So depending on how Aiden O'Connell plays hard, the running attack is not very good. It's not very good at all. The offensive line is up and down. You know what I'm saying? They got a few decent offensive linemen, but nothing to brag about. So like I said, the speciality is all on the defensive side of the ball. They have some people that play really well together. Like if you look at the sack guy, the guys who have the sacks defensively, like Clavon Chasen is a guy, he has 4 sacks, but he's a speed guy that they brought in to kind of do these things. Tyree Wilson is also another guy that they had that can do that as well. So we'll see how it all looks going forward, but this is not a team that turn you over, but it's a team that stop you. They'll get after you, they'll knock you around, and I want to see how the Saints respond to this team. That will be a very interesting thing. Let's take a look at the depth chart so you can get a grander look at this. Aiden O'Connell, Alexander Madison. Like I said, we had run-ins against Alexander Madison when he was in Minnesota, and he ran pretty well against the Saints, to be honest with you. Madison, he ran pretty good against us when he was there. So can he kind of rediscover that against them with that up and down line? I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. Jacoby Myers, like I say, he is productive. Trey Tucker's the speed option. Terrence Marshall Jr. left from the Carolina Panthers and tried to get a fresh start with the Raiders. He's not exactly cutting it up like you would think he was, but they spent some time trying to bring him in there because of the injuries. Brock Bowers, we talked about him. Michael Mayer, he's a decent tight end too to back up Brock Bowers. And then, of course, the line, like I said, the line is a decent line. They're not all that, but they struggle. There's a lot of struggling going on here with Andrews Pete there. That's right. AP's there, with the Raiders, man. And he was like, man, I can't help but to go from one trash can to another. But Miller, Powers, Johnson, James, Parham, and Munford Jr., nothing special about these guys, as you could tell. But like I said, man, the strength is not in the offense, and it depends on how Aiden O'Connell plays. Can he get Madison? Can that offensive line get the running against the Saints defense? Can those wide receivers get loose on the Saints secondary? That'll be the biggest thing. And can Aiden O'Connell make the throws? And it also depends on Saint pressure. But if you get Brock Bowers going, this could be key. He's a major problem because they struggle against these type of tight ends. They do. And then if the Saints focus on too hard, Jacoby Myers could probably burn them for something. You never know. But we'll see how it all goes. But we're going to go over the rest of this. Tyree Wilson, Big John Jenkins. Y'all remember John Jenkins was a former Saint. He's still in the league. He's 35 years of age. Remember, they show you right here, he was drafted by the Saints back in 2013. He's still in the league, occupying the defensive tackle position for them with Adam Butler, we just talked about. Tyree Wilson with the sacks. Clavon Chasen has 4 sacks. So is Wilson. And Butler, the big defensive end, we talked about with 3.5 sacks. So they're going to get after you. This team ain't no bullshit team in terms of the defense. Then we talk about Robert Spillane. You talk about Diablo, the other linebacker, not as productive as Spillane, but they got some playmakers there. Then you go secondary wise with Jack Jones and DeCamerion Richardson. We talked about Paulo Mao and Morick and as the secondary guys. The Nate Hobbs is the nickelback. Daniel Carlson and AJ Cole are the kicker and punter for the team. So like I said, it's a question mark based around what Aiden O'Connell can do, right? That's the big question mark right there, is can he get the ball to his guys? Can he build a rhythm? That is the real thing that to look out. So as the New Orleans Saints, as we take a look at the New Orleans Saints and we move forward, the keys to victory for the New Orleans Saints is nice and simple. We'll have Spencer Rattler in there because Derek Carr is out, Elvin's out, so Kendra Miller, Jamal Williams, and Jordan Mims, perhaps they'll activate our guy Edwards Hilaire. We'll see if Clyde gets, perhaps Clyde, because Clyde just got there, and we'll see him because he's literally on the Saints practice squad right now. But did Clyde Edwards Hilaire for the Saints learn enough where he can kind of come in there and see if he can help the Saints out? That's a big thing. Because remember, it's similar to the situation we seen when the team had just picked up the likes of MVS, and MVS set out for several games until he was acclimated enough to come in and play. With a short time frame, you would want to look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire and say, hey, man, let's just see if we can get him in there just to help out. With Elvin being out and us needing another offensive weapon, can we get him in there and see what he can do for us? So I don't know if that's what the Saints are going to do, because he's sitting up on a practice squad. So do they activate him? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. It'll be good for us to kind of take a look at him and see. I would like to see Clyde Edwards-Helaire running around out there, catching the ball for him and getting going and stuff like that as well. And also the Saints do have another running back in Zavalian Valladay, who's also a practice squad player. But to get Clyde Edwards-Helaire an opportunity to play in the matchup for the Saints, that would be fun to see him go out there, but he's not currently activated. So we'll see. All right, but anyway, MVS is a game time decision. Kevin Austin Jr. and Dante Pettis, you see the Saints offense just went young and see if they can kind of get more speed. Kevin Austin Jr. is definitely faster than Cedric Wilson Jr. They kind of moved him out. Dante Pettis, the kick returner, punt returner, is probably the fastest man at the end. I don't know how, with MVS being hurt, Pettis does provide a speed component. Mason Tipton has just basically fell off the planet. Jawan Johnson is needed even more so in the game with him and Foster Moreau. The tight ends need to step up. The line, once again, with McCoy out and also Lucas Patrick out, then you'll see Landon Young and Shane Lemieux in there, and then the line has to step up. That's the bottom line. There is no running game or anything if the Saints offensive line doesn't perform up to snuff. And I think that will be the major test. It always is, right, family? It's always the battle of the offensive line versus defensive line, and how that all, works itself out, because that's what it comes down to, as always, forever. Is how does that work? And we'll have to see how that work, and then we'll get into the breakdown after this. But Cam Jordan, the Saints defense, prior to the Green Bay Packers game, and in that Packers game, they had several stops to force things to happen against the Commanders. They had some really good stoppage there. The offense didn't playing half of games won't win you a game. You got to play full game, smart game, full game effort. Against the Packers, the offense never got off the plane. So it was a situation where they're coming off a demoralizing win, so it's a mental effect. They're playing in the final home game of the season against the Raiders. They're 5-10, so we know there's no postseason aspirations for this team. A lot of change is going to happen, obviously. So what's the mindset of the Saints going into this game against the Raiders? Is it we're going to go and beat the Raiders? We're going to redeem ourselves? Because if they want a get healthy win, this is a good win for them to take on another struggling team like themselves. So, but the defense, Cam Jordan's really stepped up, played well. Carl Granderson, Chase Young, Nate Shepard is back. Colin Saunders with Brian Bresee coming up off that bench. We've been seeing John Ridgway III get more involved. Passing, maybe he can have a better performance. We looked at Warner, Demario Davis, and Willie Gay, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Alante Taylor, and Ugo Amadi. Or our cornerbacks, the safeties of Will Harris and Tyrann Matthew. So we have to see how the Saints defense can step it up. I think our special teams will be fine. Our defense will be fine, but I'm really looking at our offensive line. Now let's get into prediction. And actually, let's do our keys to victory for the New Orleans Saints, right? Keys to victory for the New Orleans Saints is simple. The keys to victory, family, for the New Orleans Saints is very simple. The New Orleans Saints offensive line has to have a solid performance against a pretty not decent, but a pretty good defensive team for the Raiders. Like I said, the Raiders, they're a terror. They're not a good. They're not a good. They're not a good team in terms of offense, but defensively, they're actually pretty decent. They get after you. They don't force any turnovers or nothing like that. They ain't got a ton of interceptions. They're like, they're I think minus. I think they're I forgot the number that we just talked about it early on in their turnover situation. But the point of emphasis I want to get at is that the keys to victories for the Saints is that they have to run the ball. They can't allow Spencer Rattler to be the vestige in which the offense flows through. And like I said, even though he's still a rookie, you have 2 games remaining in the regular season. So he's seen a lot of action. He's seen action early in the year, off and on. Derek Carr got knocked out of there. He came in there and he played. He played last week. He's seen a lot of action. He really has. He's practiced through a lot. He knows the offense. At this point, he's got a lot of good action in there, a lot of hot reps in there. So, but still in all, you can't depend totally on Spencer. You have to be able to run the football with Kendra Miller, Jamal Williams, Jordan Mims. Perhaps they let Clyde Edwards-Helaire get in there and have an opportunity. I hope so, because they could definitely use another offensive-minded player. We'll see. And that's the point. MVS will be a game-time decision, so we don't know if we'll have him. And be it as it may, I don't think this is going to be as easy a game as we thought. Just when you look at the Raiders' record, I was looking at film on the Raiders, and they're, defensively speaking, they're actually pretty decent. They get after you, and they make, they rough. Those linebackers come after you. They don't, like I said, they're not the best in the game, but they are a respectable defense. And, based on some of these guys they have, they're very productive. They can get after you with the sacks and stuff like that. So my thought process on the Saints handling that is, how do we run up against them? Can we get traction against the line? Can we run up against them? Now, they showed statistically over the season that they can be ran on up to a point. But the Saints offensive line has struggled. They've struggled the last several games. To be honest with you, even games we didn't really take the domination that we've seen in the weeks 1 and weeks 2. After that happened, all that disappeared. It's like the NFL looked at the film, figured out what the Saints was doing, and turned it all off. And that's what happened. That's why they couldn't reproduce what they did in weeks 1 and weeks 2. They got enough film on them to see what they were doing, and then they just turned the switch, adjusted to it, and the Saints offense fell through the floor because they had no counterpunch. And that's the issue that's happening with the Saints, is they have an attitude problem. That's what I've been alluding to and telling the family members. Now, yes, I've been, and I got to talk to some of the family members. I've been highly upset. Not just because of all the losing and all the stupid disrespect the Saints have been showing, like from a front office standpoint, but it's just I despise dumb football. I really do. The Saints have an attitude problem. And I mean the attitude problem. I mean, they don't come into this game, and I'm speaking exclusively to the offensive line. The offensive line doesn't have a attitude of domination. They come into this game like they're going through the motion. And it's the same with Eric McCoy. He's not firing. No, he's supposed to be the leader. He ain't leading nothing. He's not firing anybody up. Nobody's firing nobody up. These guys get beat. They get pushed down. They get knocked down. They just get back up. Nobody yells at them. Nobody tells them nothing. Nobody benches them. And they can't really bench the guys that's doing bad, because the backups are 4 times worse than the starters. They really are. It's a severe drop-off. But they have an attitude problem. Now, with Eric McCoy out again for the rest of the year, and Lucas Patrick probably following him to that as well, we bring in Landon Young and Shane Lemieux at the center position. Shane Lemieux is horrible. No disrespect to Shane Lemieux, but dude, you're terrible. You're terrible. Not just because you don't know the offensive plays as well as you're supposed to know, and you're the key center backup. It's the fact that you at times you're weak. You don't know who to block, and it's very concerning. So we'll once again, the Saints will have to count on the offensive line to provide balance against the Raiders defense. And the Raiders defense, like I said, this defense is actually a pretty decent defense. they're actually pretty respectable. So they can, like I keep saying, they can get after you. They can stop you from running. They're not a top 5 defense by any stretch of the imagination, but they're good enough to cause problems to a banged up Saints offensive line with an attitude issue. Spencer Rattler could be facing similar stuff that he's seen in some of the game where he's forced out of the pocket prematurely. Getting him going will be key. Allowing him to feel comfortable back there, get off throws and get into a rhythm, allowing the running attack to create balance. That'll be big for a Saints offensive line that has struggled to do that. So that's my biggest point. So the Saints' keys to victory, the Saints offensive line, some kind of way is going to have to gel together and create balance, which means they're going to have to be able to run the football as well as to buy Spencer Rattler enough time to survey the field and make throws, at least allow him to build a rhythm. So when the pressure comes, he has a rhythm in the chemistry synergy with whoever his wide receivers are, depending on if it's going to be MVS as a game time decision. I know Kevin Austin Jr. and Dante Pettis will be there, Cedric Wilson, Mason Tipton, some of those guys, right? So we'll see how it all works. But that is the big key to the victory of Saints offensive line. From a defensive standpoint, the Saints have to get after Aiden O'Connell. They have to fluster him and knock him down. They can't allow him to stand back there and get a rhythm himself. Blake Bowers is the biggest issue for the Saints defense. Number one issue is Brock Bowers. See that 5 times in a row. Brock Bowers is the biggest problem for the Saints on defense. The Saints will have to some kind of way make sure this guy doesn't get loose on them and make plays on them, because I can see the Raiders getting Bowers going and Michael Mayer going. It's going to be interesting to see how these guys go. Jacoby Myers is also a guy that works in their offense as well. Like I said, Madison has given the Saints issues when he was with the Minnesota Vikings, some time ago. But it depends on the Saints defense being able to stop them from running the ball, apply pressure to Aiden O'Connell, not letting him get comfortable. Because we've seen in games, besides the 8 sack performance that we've seen, that the Saints had allowed, like with the Packers game, there was no real pressure on Jordan Love. And, in that game, he was able to make throws of all type of varieties, and that's not good. So the Saints defense will have to kind of do something similar to what they did with the Commanders. They have to get out there, O'Connell. It won't take much to knock him around and fluster him and whatnot. And I can even see a scenario where the Saints fluster him to the point where they put Desmond Ridder in the game. But anyway, Aiden O'Connell's a guy that the Saints will have to stop, right? Insofar as stop the running game, put the pressure to him, knock him around, and just keep him off center, not allowing Brock Bowers to get involved, not allowing Jacoby Myers to get involved, the deep threat Trey Tucker that can hurt you, not allowing those guys to beat you. And then that's what it is, right? Just doing that. So, and also the other stuff, the pre-snap penalties, keeping the pre-snap penalties down, not doing like the stuff we did in the game last week against the Packers. We have a ton of false starts and all this other stuff. We can't allow that to happen, right? Even though we'll have several backup offensive linemen in there, that's almost a far-gone conclusion that kind of stuff is going to happen. It's unfortunate, but you can see it happening, right? But those are the keys to victory in terms of the Saints going up against the Raiders. The offensive line, my biggest point of contention for the Saints. Can they produce a running attack? Can they produce protection for Spencer Rattler so he can be able to find his wide receivers? Can they give them a running attack where they can run up against the Raiders defense? But like I will caution Who Dat Nation with this matchup here with the Raiders family. This is not going to be a blowout or the Saints going to beat the brakes off the Raiders. I don't believe that at all. I think the Raiders, this is actually going to be a close game. This is actually going to be a real close game in my humble opinion, because you look at what the Saints are dealing with their offensive line and like I said, the attitude problem and all this kind of stuff, and not having the will to dominate offensively speaking. Inexperienced quarterback play, like I keep mentioning the line, because the line's very important to the Saints winning, because you have to run and you have to protect the quarterback so you can get in the rhythm. And that is a big issue. When you have offensive line issues that's that severe, it impacts everything you're doing offensively. And to be honest with you, the Raiders' offensive line is, I think, I ain't gonna say they'll do a better job in this game, but they don't have all the injuries issues and the chemistry issues that the Saints got going on, right? And so it's a matter of the Saints defense kind of stopping them. And can the Saints offense get going against the Raiders defense? That's a whole nother thing with Chase on and with these other guys cutting loose going at them. Like I said, Clavion Chasen can get after you. Tyree Wilson's another guy that can get after you. Adam Butler can get after you. So, and like I said, they're missing a lot of people on this team that's really good, like Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins, and these guys like that are actually really good players. They're missing a lot of their star power defensively, but they're still respectable there as well. So, in the end, man, I would caution who that nation to be very cautious of this game because this is not a total win. The Saints, if they don't come to play and they don't have the right mentality, they can very well lose against the Raiders. You know, it's going to be a close game. I predict and here's the prediction side of things. I predict that the Saints will win the game, but it'll be by maybe a field goal. This will be close. I don't see this as a 35-17 game or nothing like that. I think the Saints will get a couple of touchdowns in there, but I could see this going the way of like 17-14 or 20-17, something like that, but not higher than that. 17-14, 20-17, something like that. I wouldn't be even surprised if it's 13-10. To be honest, it's in that range between those scoring leaps that I believe that's where it'll be. Like I said, it's going to be interesting, man. Can the Saints offensive line, create opportunities for the running attack and provide a wall of protection for rookie quarterback Spencer Rattler? Can they do that? That's my biggest apprehension in this game, but we'll see how it all goes. What do you guys think about it? Y'all put your comments in the comments section below. Shout out to you, shout out to y'all, man. Appreciate y'all being here. I see all of y'all, man. I'm throwing this, we got another stream going on tonight. The Pelicans are playing, and they're on their way to a loss badly, another fantastic loss. But the question still remains, who gets the first win? Who gets the 6 first? Is it the Pelicans, who are not going to do it tonight? But is it going to be the Saints? Do the Saints beat the Raiders? And the Pelicans don't play again until, hold on here. Let me see what the next time the Pelicans play. Because they play the Clippers. They play them in the Smoothie King Center. And I don't think that game is going to be until, that's Monday. So the Pelicans don't play again until Monday night. So, who gets the win? Who gets the 6 first? Is the Saints or the Pelicans? That is so sad, but it is what it is, right? It's sports in the Big Easy. All right. So anyway, with that being said, man, listen, once again, I'd like to thank all you guys for being in the live, man. Much love to you guys. Appreciate everything, man. Appreciate the love and support. And big ups to everybody, man. I just want to give a brief word and say, fam, listen, it's been very frustrating, with the Pelicans and Saints over the last several weeks, months. It's been very frustrating, right? Very, very frustrating. This organization, very frustrating. They just make everything so difficult, and it doesn't have to really be that. But, I would caution a lot of the family members just to understand this is necessary. So I'm gonna just pump my brakes on a lot of my thought process is that, we just cut our charity, that, and I call that's what it is, charity, because we're giving them a lot of charity, and start rewarding losing. So, I'm going to continue to operate with that. And I invite you guys to, if you haven't already, and I invite you to be, to join the party of promotion, support of these teams until they show us that they're doing better, that they're doing the right moves, and they're hiring the right people. So I invite you guys to join me in that. And all you have to do, you don't have to sign any document. You don't have to go down and sign up or do this, that, and the third or whatever. All you have to do is nothing. All you have to do is nothing. I think that's pretty easy for some people, right? All you have to do is nothing. And I think a lot of people can do that quite easily. But anyway, with that being said, let me get on out of here, man. Listen, I appreciate y'all, man. Thank y'all for listening at me tonight. please do me a service. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, and feel free to share the shows on your social media feed, Facebook groups, Twitter, X. I mean, it don't matter. Wherever you are, take the Sports Coma with you, man. And also, we got a program announcement that'll be happening this upcoming week for the upcoming year. We're making some changes here, man. We're doing a lot of fantastic stuff. And we're going to make a program announcement, platform announcement coming up next week. So you guys be looking out for that as we head into 2025, man. Sports Coma rolling strong. But anyway, with that being said, let me get on and hit. Y'all feel free to check out our sponsors, Mint Mobile, Teach Henley, and Bet Online. The links are in the description section. Check out our merch shops. We got several merch stores down there that you can help out the platform via donation or just by going buy some merch to show some support for the show. And that you like the work that we are doing. So with that being said, I'm going to get out on that. Much love, and I'm going to holler at y'all a little bit later on the live Saints Raiders game day. Peace. Who dat? I'm out.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who dat. I'm a who dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a who dat. Lose or winning, I'm a who dat. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who dat. I'm a who dat. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shade for the championship. Fucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Probably like this, and I'm a who dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a who dat. Lose or winning, I'm a who dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this, and I'm a who dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC and MMA. Head to Bet Online today to get in on all the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, the game starts here.
WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who Dat and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who Dat in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. Remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and who that too.